everybody, welcome to Playbook by Laserforce Loveland. This podcast is a platform for laser tag players to geek out about strategies, stories, and ongoings in the Laserforce scene, and for you to join us as another player at the table. My codename is Mischief, and I'm a player from Loveland, Colorado, USA, who loves to talk about tag. Tonight, I'm joined by Ghost, my son from Loveland, Colorado. Welcome onto the podcast, Ghost.
Hello, good to be here.
Now, I want to be transparent with the people, right? Because we're here for the people. The people are the players and the fans, the members of the Laserforce community that I just went out for drinks with my coworkers. And you, Ghost, are...
I've got spiced apple Jack Daniels and some pink lemonade vodka. We're going to have a good time tonight.
Now, were you inspired by my choices, or did you want to do this just on your own?
Oh, I was going to end up drinking tonight either way. I went out with some coworkers today because work has kind of sucked the last couple of days, and it's going to suck for the next couple of days, but I just enjoy the drinks that I bought.
Yeah, for sure. So I Ubered on home. We're both a little silly, and we're just going to... The main reason we're on tonight is because we are world champions. We won Laserforce Internationals this last year. And I will shout it from the rooftops because in all likelihood, getting back to this spot is going to be near impossible, if not just very difficult. And I don't know if you can't take this kind of thing for granted. And I would like to hear all about your side of things, Ghost. Your story, the Ghost story, if you will.
The human effect.
Yes, your new codename, the human effect. And how the human effect helped you become a world champion.
I know everyone in the podcast right now is going, oh God, not this again.
Can you describe the human effect and why we're talking about that?
Oh God, well, the human effect is the effect that Stats has and how the human, being the human, and how we're always so unpredictable and so stupid, and we're never the same 2 times in a row within a certain amount of time, that we screw over Stats every. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Normally I try not to, but I've never made much of a consistent effort to like tell people not to swear. So if you swear, look, if there's a child listening to this podcast and they play laser tag, they have heard swear words before.
Look, I'm going to do my 100% not to swear. But once these 2 drinks are gone, that I can't promise.
Here's my challenge to you. Can you are allowed to swear, but I will give you bonus points if you replace swear words with silly words instead. Like what the knick-knack paddywhack did you just say to me? What the flip? You're a silly goose, my guy. You know?
I just took the beanie off. I'm already getting warm.
All right. It's rushing, the blood's flowing. So
oh yeah.
So Ghost, we have a special relationship. You are my you're my laser tag son. Can you tell the people how that relationship began?
So most of you know a certain spot of the arena by Chamber. Most of you know that by saying he's in Chamber. But that kind of has evolved in our relationship to my room. So I think one day we were up there and I was sitting in Chamber and Luke came in as a heavy, and I think I was the medic that game. And I was like, oh God, I got to say something here, because we were having a fun game. It was just a good little time. And I was like, get out of my room, Dad. And Luke responded with, no, son, shot my ammo and dumped a missile into me. And then tried to do it again. And I just kept screaming, get out of my room, Dad. And eventually, I think Luke picked me up and ran off with me. So my team was without a medic for a hot minute. But a glorious father-son relationship was born when Luke dumped a missile into me in my room.
Oh, that missile was worth so much more than 500 points. See, that's funny because I remember me telling you to get back in your room.
I think you chased me out, and then I shot you down, and got a medic hit, and used your medic to put 2 in you, and then sprinted across, and you told me to get back in my room.
So whatever happened the first time, we definitely did it more times than that. We were like referencing chamber as your bedroom, and I would tell you to get back in it, and you're like, get out of my room, and the playful banter. And by the way, at the time, you were like 12 years old.
I was 12.
You were a funny kid. You were very fast, but you were hitting puberty, so your upper body was about as normal. It was about as big as your current upper body is, but your lower body was about half the size of your lower body currently.
I had little legs.
So you were like very tall from the torso up, but you had little cartoon legs, and you would run around and knock into people's guts all the time.
Yep.
And
I ran so hard into Joe's chest plate one day that I broke my nose.
So obviously, I have great affection for you, and I've enjoyed getting to see you grow over the years. Now you are a strapping young man, very muscular. You can do a backflip. You can toss batons really high into the air, and you've become quite the laser tag player. So I'd like to begin, as this podcast is, we're going to talk about Nats 2024 internationals.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think where it mainly began, Jarrett, was the bakery. Because during West Coast 2022, we didn't know we were going to host Nats soon, but we knew it was going to be at some point in the future. And West Coast 2022, Joe, Josiah, and myself all split up, hoping to allow the Loveland players to face harder difficulties, bear more responsibility, and get good, essentially. We wanted to sandbag ourselves a little bit. Now, we still had kind of an ABC. My team, the Loki's Revengers, we definitely were... We were definitely the A team, but we were missing some very key players. You, however, joined Josiah's team, the Bakery, which was, I want to hear your description of that tournament, but from my perspective, Josiah pulled together the most ragtag group of personalities, memesters, players that don't often play, players that are underrated and have lots of talent. Like, this was the most... I think the team was held together with duct tape and a prayer, and it did fall apart by a few days later. I think like only one of you was still showing up for the tournament, but
it was me and Josiah.
But you played. You had to go in and play commander on a lower half team, and I'm just curious about your experience there, because I will tell you right off the bat, Josiah's intention was to start testing you and training you.
Well, the number one thing that I think people forget about that tournament is I was working an overnight hotel job at the time.
You were, you idiot. What on...
And the hotel
I told you that.
To give me the time off.
You came in with like 0 hours of sleep every single day.
Yep. And I think the highlight of that tournament for me was facing that Stacked Pancakes team that was so good. They were so good. And getting up on the third floor and trading with Baden and Micro, and I took both of them down, got into their resupplies, took a missile off on their medic, and pushed them all the way downstairs. And I will never forget Baden going, "Well played, fair enough," and then running away.
Oh my goodness.
And then unfortunately Micro came up right after on the right side. I had a heavy that was not confident in himself as a player. So I always had to kind of lift him up and get him to try and play. And then Micro appeared, and it was not a fun time.
Jared, do you realize that you were the 11th ranked player by MVP that tournament?
I don't believe that for a second.
You are the 11th ranked player over Josiah and myself by MVP. And as we all know, MVP is completely reliable, especially by you. However, I'm looking at your stats, and you had some very high scoring Commander games. You
Correct.
had 5 games over 11K.
Yep. I dropped a 4-chain on St. George B.
Insanity. So tell people about your play style.
So my playstyle has definitely evolved a crap ton with the direction.
I said don't cuss on my channel. Just kidding.
With the guidance of Kodama. Kodama is a big reason why I play the way I do today. I've also watched the likes of John, because I'm basically the John 2.0. John is fast. He'll outrun you in a race. I don't know if he can outrun me anymore. I know none of us can outrun Strigva. Strigva is faster than both of us now, and that's crazy.
Interesting.
But I watched John simply okay to get a lot of how I play. I watched Josiah. Josiah is an incredible player. The Fear Turkey. I think that's his name still, yeah?
He's either the Fear Turkey or Bagel. One of the two.
The Fear Bagel. The Bagel Turkey, as I have referred to him before.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of what I learned, though me and Kodama don't have a good relationship, I wish we did. I look up to Kodama a lot. I respect Kodama a lot. Kodama has done a lot for our game. Kodama has brought a lot to the laser tag world, and we have a rocky relationship, which sucks because I have a much different play style than Kodama, and I don't know if that upsets him or something like that, because he always tells me to slow down when I'm playing, and I have done that a lot recently, and it's benefited me a little, but I prefer to play fast and clean. I try and play as clean as I can. There's some games that I'm definitely not clean. But also a lot of my playstyle came from Luke. My father's sitting here. The one thing that has made me so good is I definitely have not gone to a lot of tournaments. But I have seen you guys come back from tournaments with new tricks and new skills, and I'll have to adapt on the spot. And it's a very hard skill to learn. It has helped me so much so now that I can predict what players are going to do before they do it. Which is why I am so incredible in Rat Hole, because I'm going to take Cedar City as an example. Caleb, I played against him for a long time. I have the utmost respect for that player. I have the utmost respect for Caleb as a person. I've been Caleb's friend for so long. Snuffles, I have the utmost respect for. I have the utmost respect for everyone on that team. But I was able to predict what they did before they did it, especially at Nats. In Rat Hole, I have become one of the more deadlier people at Loveland, I feel like. But going back to the bakery, that's when the Rat Hole strategy started. From a lovely player named The Rat. Which is why we have named it Rat Hole. The main tension on our team was because the Rat would stand down there, and the Rat was playing incredible. The Rat did his job. But we had another player who I will not name, because as a site, it's not a great name going around right now. So I will withhold the name of that player. But that player got upset because the Rat was playing downstairs the entire time, which as a commander, I was completely fine with. They were doing their job. They were helping me out upstairs more than I think people realized. I was able to take so much ground because the rat would clear space for me. And I would clear space and the rat would cover. It worked, which is why it kind of became a thing after the tournament. But that bakery team, that was duct tape and a prayer right there.
I agree. Duct tape and a prayer.
Duct tape and a prayer. Josiah never gave up. I never gave up. Unfortunately, we lost the rat on like day 3. We lost my heavy on like day 4. It just didn't work out. We ended up placing lower than we thought we would because we just collapsed, and it was upsetting.
Yeah, for sure. You know, to be honest, you talking about Kodama and talking about that player who will not be named, and just some of the personal relationships, even what I'd call the drama, the things that go on in the scene, like there's a part of me that definitely like cringes and wants to try to keep that stuff off of public podcasts. Like I don't know how like people are going to react to it. I don't want to cause any extra drama, but at the same time, like I listened to your interview for Laserforce Internationals, and just knowing you as a man, a young man, you Jarrett, you're a young man. All right. You're still developing the full beard. You're still a little patchy, you know, you're not fully there yet. And I love you, but that's where you are. You are a young man. You are still developing a lot of life experience. You got a long ways to go. You were a rookie in Nats. And that is a defining quality of yours. You wear your heart on your sleeve. You show your emotion. You say things that are true and real and honest to your emotions. I think it takes a lot of courage. I think there's also some discernment that is to be learned in like, hey, how are my words going to affect people? How are my actions going to affect people? What do I need to like make sure I'm careful about? But there's a quote that I keep on my wall just out in the hallway from this poster, by this African American woman named Ida B. Wells. She was a journalist during the Jim Crow era. So do you know her? Do you know Ida?
Yep.
Do you know the quote?
I do not know the quote.
Oh, well, that's cool that you knew Ida. Anyways, Ida's quote was, "The way to right wrongs is to shed the light of truth upon it." That when truth is told in a loving, compassionate, honest way, and we admit to our faults and we express our sincere desires, that things have a tendency to work themselves out. And I just want to say that, you know, I respect the way that you are honest about people and how you want to, like, you want a better relationship with Kodama and other people, and like that people have let you down in the past, or there are things that you got to improve on. Like, that's a great thing about Space Marines. If I can go on a little tangent, like we've all gotten a chance to grow up playing this game. It's not like getting on Call of Duty and then you put the controller down and you go to bed, and where it's like this escape from reality. I mean, we get in this arena with our friends, we sweat, we bleed, we yell, we experience frustration and sorrow, and we get upset at each other, we have conflict, we have to learn how to resolve that conflict, we gotta learn how to manage ourselves. And Space Marines is a game where, regardless of how good you are at it, like, people learn how to grow up. They learn how to deal with our darker, more animalistic sides of ourselves. And all that to say, like, hey, good on you. And I hope that something good comes out of this tonight. Just with what you said, despite my desire to like keep it more quote unquote professional, like, hey, good on you. Be real. But I would agree with your assessment about the bakery. Like, it was held together. And that's something that's something that's an essential experience that players need to have. And I think it's part of why you came into Nats so good and people didn't expect you to be that good. Maybe they did. In fact, I bet a lot of people believe that you were only good because you were boosted up by the A team. Like, we had a great team in this context. If you put us in a neutral arena, I'm not so sure. Like, I think we would still do really well. We'd be a great team. But the fact that we had home field advantage and all this time to prep and our years-long friendships, like, these are big qualities that contributed. Where's I going with this? Well, ultimately, there's a quality that you got, and it's called big fish training. I invented this term. I'm going to talk about it on a podcast coming up, but big fish training is essentially like being a big fish in a little pond. That on a team that was lower ranked, where you had less tools to work with, you were placed in a position to be one of the big fish, to be kind of you had to bear more weight than you would have to bear on our A team. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you were to fail at your job, there was a much less likelihood that your teammates were going to be able to successfully bail you out, especially against the higher ranked teams.
Yep.
And it's because you did that in West Coast 22 that you were able to play at the level you did in Nats 24.
I think there's something about West Coast that people also don't know. Is while Luke was living in Arizona at the time, going to school and doing all of that, we would have practice games between the B team and the A team. I had one of my most incredible commander games against that A team, and that is still a very, very good A team. And I remember that night getting a text from Luke with a screenshot of just I think it was Bagel Bites at the time. Bagel Bite Zaps, Bagel Bite Zaps, Bagel Bite Zaps, Bagel. It was the entire screen was Bagel Bite Zaps.
Ooh, I'm gonna see if I can find it.
And like, it'll be in our messages somewhere, but that boosted like my confidence a lot heading into that tournament. That it led me to believe in myself a lot more than I did before, that I was able to do something like that. Because going into that tournament, I didn't have much confidence. I didn't think I was that good of a player. I knew I was a rookie. I just didn't feel like I was going to be enough to eventually make an A team and do all of that. But that game proved vital to my growth.
I hope this doesn't come across in any insulting way, but Jerry, I think you're an emotional player.
Yep.
So you can be beholden to your emotions for sure, but also one of your greatest strengths, and not many people possess this, is that you're very aware of people's emotions, and you particularly are a support to people, like an emotional support. Outside of game, you are willing to check in and support people. In game, even, you are actively encouraging and trying to lift the morale of the team.
I was the A team's cheerleader. That was my official rank by the end of our practice. I was the Nats cheerleader for Loveland A.
How do you reconcile with that? Do you agree with me?
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, I'm the kind of person that can go from in-game to, if somebody's struggling or somebody is crying, I'm out of game immediately. I'm checking on them. I don't care if I get hit. I don't care if I get missiled. I don't care what happens. At that point, the game becomes Volanoid. Null and void. I said that backwards.
Nolan.
The drinks are getting to me. But, I mean, I know how to... I was an instructor for a little bit. I don't know if I will ever go back into that world, because that's not who I want to be. I don't want to be an instructor anymore. But in that, I learned to keep morale up and keep people okay, because I did have a member on my team one of my greatest spinners I've ever worked with. She walked up to me one day crying and was like, "I can't do this anymore. I'm not good enough. I can't." And I immediately had to snap out of my coaching mode and go into, I'm a human, they're a human, I have to help. I can't watch this person struggle, and that's what I took into laser tag. I want to be that person that's like, I don't care what's happening. You're a human, I'm a human. Let's solve this together. It's okay. We're gonna be okay at the end of the day. We're all skilled players playing in this game.
Does it ever work the opposite direction?
Not usually, no.
Like, does it ever cause you to lose sight of people's humanity, or for
No.
the emotions to become blinding in a way?
No. In the game, I might get a little intense, but the second I lift my pack up, everyone around me is my friend. Everyone around me is a human being. And no matter what they've said to me in the game, no matter anything. I've had Anthony run me over, and I yelled at him, and later that night, I texted him and went, "Dude, I'm so sorry."
Dude, I've been working...
I've done that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I've done that for a few people. That was a long time ago. I haven't done that recently. I've yelled at my brother, but that's my brother. I smack him around a bit. I love my brother to death.
Yeah.
I'd do anything for him. But sometimes we tick each other off, and it's unfortunate. I do really love my brother.
Dude. Hey, Aaron, if you're listening to this, you're looking really good tonight. Right. The Aaron.
The good angel and the bad angel. He's your brother. No, he's not. He's your brother. I don't care.
You want to lead you down the path of brotherhood. I want to lead you down the path that rocks. That's for you, Aaron. Love you, man. But Jared, like, look, I've led the level 1 site before. I've led teams. I'm even literally working as a mental health professional. I help people manage their anger and their emotions.
Yep.
And for so long, it has frustrated me to no end the way that people let emotions take over them in the middle of games of Space Marines. And I've been the biggest victim of it, you know? Like, I have absolutely lost my cool in games of Space Marines. 100%. I'm not saying I have it figured out and other people don't. Like, it's like so many people struggle in the middle of a game, like right in the moment, and things are said, things are done that are regretful, and you can't take it back, and people get pissed off and they don't want to play anymore, or it severs real life friendships. And I've been thinking so deeply over the last, like, I don't know, 10 years or so, like, how on earth, not 10, it was like 5 years ago that I got my head out of my own butt and started to think about how to solve my own issues. So last 5 years or so, like, how do we get players to not blow up in the middle of games? Before I say anything more, I'm curious how you've gone about that, because I mean, you're not any less guilty than I am, you know? It's something that we all struggle with, but how do you try to manage that?
So in my experiences, I'm going to relate back to Color Guard. There has been so many rehearsal days where I just can't catch my stuff. And that's literally my number one job as a veteran of the organization and a staple of the team, and being a teammate. It is my job to catch things, and unfortunately there was definitely days where I just dropped everything that left my hands. And there was definitely days that I just stood there and cried. I would do reps standing there crying, because the frustration gets to a point where you have to either explode or cry. And unfortunately, as humans, it's impossible to, in that kind of a moment, if you're a very competitive person like me, and I'm very tough on myself. That's who I am. I am an incredibly tough person on myself. And if I mess something up, I'm gonna get frustrated with myself. I'm not frustrated with anyone else other than myself. And what has helped me over the years is, and this helped me a lot, I'm going to take last color guard season, which is going to be my last for a little bit, unfortunately, due to injury. But last season I went to California, and I had 2 of the worst shows I've ever had. I dropped everything in a show setting, in an incredibly important show to us. It set us up for World Finals. And I sat in the van all the way to the airport crying my eyes out because I was so upset with myself because I let myself get too in the moment. But that next rehearsal weekend, I was able to snap myself out of it by telling myself to be patient, by letting myself be angry at myself, because that's a very normal thing as a human. But with anger, you also need to have patience with yourself as a human. Because none of us are ever going to be perfect. We're never going to have the perfect laser tag game, the perfect the perfect life. We're never going to have that. We are all going to make mistakes. We're all going to do things wrong. Some mistakes are going to be bigger than others. It's who we are as humans. But you have to learn, especially in laser tag, to be a little patient with yourself. If you mess up, you go, shoot, I messed up there. But I'm going to hit the next shot. In color guard, it would be me going, dang it, I dropped that front roll. I have to catch it next time, and I'm going to catch it next time. And I'm the most superstitious person when it comes to color guard. So if I drop once, I'm like, uh-oh, what do I need to change? What needs to happen? What needs to happen here? What needs to happen there? What count does that have? What happens there? In laser tag, it is, when do I shoot? When do I need to see them? What is happening? And that's how I've become so good at predicting where people are going to be. Goodness, the music in the background for me right now is like inspirational.
It's leading you on. Jared's got his headphones in, by the way. He's listening to some lo-fi beatboxing.
I'm actually got Man of Steel and Interstellar as a mix right now, and
goodness. You are such a nerd.
I've ever.
I love it.
But like that kind of stuff helps you as a person. It helps you as a player to calm down and know what's going on. I told Strigva this last week. If you're frustrated that one thing is going wrong, you need to stop and look around and see what's going right. See where you can attack next, see what happens there. Because those little things are little victories that help you out throughout the game. Things like that are very important to us as humans. Especially in life and especially in laser tag.
Well said. Well said. Look, we're all trying to make it. We're all working on ourselves, and I respect that, you know. And,
absolutely.
I respect you. Even though you've made mistakes, and I've made mistakes. Like, this is a hard game. It's really difficult to play it at a high level, especially if you're a person who is particularly in touch with the emotion and you're hard on yourself. I certainly relate to that. There was Josiah will tell you, like, they're up until maybe as recently as this year, but like, gosh, I've been really hard on myself in Space Marines as long as I can remember, maybe up until like 2023, honestly. Like, I wish I played better in 2023, but that's the first tournament I can remember where I don't feel like I look back and I'm beating myself up for lots of different mistakes. Every tournament before that, like, it was always, I need to be better. I don't care. I'm not going to be satisfied until my results are better. And no other factor really mattered, not even my own well-being and mental health and happiness. So that would come out onto other players because it was so harsh inside of me. And I think it's just something that, like, some people struggle with this more than others. Some people just aren't that competitive. Like, they can play competitively, and if they lose, it's not this massive thing, but other people will destroy themselves to win tournaments, even if their outside life really struggles. And I haven't, like, I haven't told you this yet, but I'm hoping that I'm not, like, done with Laserforce. I've taken a pause because financially and responsibility wise and life phase wise, I'm like, I think I need to pause for a moment. I'm not going to Nats this year. I'll figure it out. But I hope I can continue. But I will tell you this, now that I finally got my win, I don't care that it's home field advantage. I don't care how much the win means. I got first. I'm not looking for people to call me the best player in the world. I do not care. I got first. And I'm done. I am done. I am done putting that much effort into Laserforce. I am going to enjoy Laserforce now. And if I ever get another win, awesome. But the cool thing is, I think in some ways I'm playing better now that I'm not trying so hard. Mm-hmm. I'm more open. I'm more creative. My mistakes are more acceptable. It's just this weird paradox, man. But, like, going into Nats felt like I have to win. I have to win. And I've told people repeatedly, I didn't have fun at Nats. I didn't have fun practicing. I love you guys. But this was like practicing with my best friends for going into actual armed combat. Like, this isn't funny. This isn't a game. So, you know, that's maybe a good transition. We're almost 40 minutes into our stupid episode and we haven't talked about Nats yet. But just to cap off that little bit, like, I respect your growth as a player, and as far as I've been able to tell, one of the only ways to not get ticked off in the middle of a game is you just gotta care more about people than about the game. Yep. And, like, it won't happen as much in the first place, but when I care more about the game than about people, it's easy for me to get really ticked off about it and blow up. But
right.
Anyway,
when you care more about the game, you don't see people anymore. You see, there's a commander over there, there's a scout over there.
Right, they're just enemies.
Where when I'm playing, I see, oh, that's James. James has my back when I'm out of the game, so why would I tear something like that? Or John, I went to school with John. I care about these people.
So, Nats 24 was announced. We began making our team. Well, we had a team before Nats 23, actually. And I believe you were on it?
I don't think I was.
I don't think you were. Okay. I'll have to go find that game. But we had a Nats team, and then we destroyed it, and then we rebuilt it, and I think in the second round you were on it, and then we destroyed it. We destroyed it after coming back from Nats 23. You were on that second iteration?
Yep.
Let's see. I got it right here. I'm pulling up our game against US West to help US West practice, the world champions of Laserforce 23 that we helped. We helped them.
I will never forget that game. The one of the first game that we played against them, where they pushed us downstairs and then we rallied back.
Well, I don't know if you were in this game. It looks like Traumatized and
there was 2 that I wasn't because I went to a hockey game on Wednesday night.
Oh, you nerd.
My profession becomes first. My profession comes first. Goodness, the alcohol is hitting.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yep. You and Sergeant Tucker were the scouts on our original A team with Simply OK Commander, Traumatized Heavy, me, and Dr. Feelgood on ammo. So that was our original lineup. There were players that we had been training for a while, and Josiah was the captain at that point. So you were on it. But coming back from Internationals 23, I know this about myself as a player. I am the tactician. I am the strategizer and the team builder and the player assessor, and I told Josiah I'd like to take control of the team. I'd like to build it. And Josiah and I worked together on it. He may recall it a little differently, but ultimately he gave me final decision making on this stuff. So we started rebuilding the team, but you were still on it.
Yep.
Now, you didn't notice at the time, but I think you were originally slated to play our heavy.
Oh, God.
do you remember our conversation? Did I tell you about that?
I remember being told I would play a 3-hit, but I did not get informed it was heavy.
Well, this was like very early stages, but then eventually you winded up as a scout/commander.
Yep.
So what was that like for you?
Medic.
What was that like for you pre-Nats? Can you walk us through your experience of the recruitment and practice process?
So I got recruited. I was pulling up to play one day. I had just parked my car, and Josiah walks up to my car door before I've even gotten out, and he goes, "Hey, we need to have a chat. We're gonna go chat real quick, and then you can go play and enjoy your night." And I was like, "Uh-oh, oh boy, what are you in trouble?" I thought I was about to get kicked out for the night. I was like, "What did I do wrong? What? I just got here." But Josiah goes, "I want you on my A team. You're going to be a valuable part, and you're going to help us win a world championship." And then a couple weeks later, after I had practiced a little bit with the team, I had practiced only scout, and then I was told that I would be a commander against those lower teams to give Luke and John a little rest. Little did I know I'd be lied to, but we'll get into that later. So I practiced commander against Frigva, who is my exact opposite. He plays exactly how I do. So that trained me up a lot more than people realize, playing somebody that's my polar opposite. Not my polar opposite, that would mean, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The drinks are setting in, and we're having fun. So I practiced knowing that I'd be playing teams like the Sunbeams, Detroit, a lot of those teams. I would probably play the B team because I know how that B team ran, and that would be the perfect time to give John and Luke some rest so that they could play all of the harder teams on Commander. But I was able to develop a strategy with the scouts that I had: Troy, Joe sometimes, and Bromley. And sometimes John. I always had to have kind of a different playbook with each of them to figure out what was going on, where I needed to be, what I needed to do. Eventually, after a couple of months, we didn't even need to talk anymore. We just knew what the other person was going to do. We knew that we were going to have each other's back. We knew that everything was going to go according to plan. And against that U.S. West team, me and Joe had a silent like telepathy moment, if you will, that we needed to protect as scouts more than anything in that moment to be able to come back. And we split up and we protected better than I've ever seen two scouts protect. So that kind of developed into the 18 strat, where I was able to communicate with the other scout where we were going to be. I was originally in Llama, and I think over time I went like 3 for 36 on shots or on kills to deaths, and I was like, guys, I can't do this anymore. So I ended up in Rat Hole, where I just blossomed, and I mean, I think the Rat's still better than me. The Rat created that, and he creates new ways to use it, but I was able to use that better than 99% of the players in that tournament. And I also figured out a strategy with that maze, especially when we were defending, that was just unbeatable. I never got beat when I played my strategy in that maze.
Talk about that a little bit, because your maze strategy is even something that I have a hard time grasping and understanding.
So the thing about the maze strat is I know what people are.
And for the record, for the people, Loveland is a 3-story arena. You win by taking top floor, pushing the bottom team downstairs. So the idea is to take top floor. We push the team down to the first floor. Jarrett goes down to attack them in the maze on the first floor, and then he does this.
So we're going to go back to my 11 medikit game.
Oh my goodness.
Because that was the pinnacle of my strategy.
We're getting right to the good part, huh? Skipping right to the climax.
Well, we can go to the games before. The games before just weren't as good. My strategy.
Well, maybe I could save you. We could ask this as we talk after we talk about the tournament a little bit, because that's like one of the very final games.
Works for me. I will save that story. But my strategy I could use against Loveland B, where I ended up with 8 medic hits after that game in a practice. The way that I play that maze, I can predict where people are going to be. And the way that I do that, I'm about to expose myself a little bit. I know what everyone's footsteps sound like. I know how to decipher the person based upon their footsteps in our arena. I can't do it 100% of the time. Like, there was one time that I was like, it's the medic, coming around the corner, and it was Kodama, and I was like, oh, that's not the medic. But I've been able to tell where players are based upon their footsteps, even when they're trying to be quiet, because everybody's footsteps make a distinct sound. And it's crazy that happens, because we're humans, and feet size and all of that. So much biology happens in that, and I'm terrible at biology, so I'm surprised that I was able to figure this out. But I could just tell who was who in that maze, and I'd do John's little trick where he clips the little phaser clip onto the cord, so you're absolutely silent, and I'd be able to move there quietly or use absolute noise so that my teammates could get in there too. When I use noise, I would go on the opposite side of where my teammate was. I would make a lot of noise running in there shooting. If I got downed, I would just run away yelling 1 down, 2 down, 3 down, they're all down, and my teammate would then be able to get in there where they least expected it and get that medic hit, get that crucial ammo hit, and be able to continue to create what I called the shark attack. Because we're all a bunch of sharks in that maze, and if you're able to, my ex taught me this, sharks attack in a very weird pattern. And I was somehow able to use that pattern in laser tag, which I'm not going to go into that because that is my personal strategy, and I'm not ready to unveil that yet. But I would use the shark attack strategy to do loud attacks and then I would use what I called it was something stupid. I think I would call it Phil the Pharaoh's stealth mission. Go in there silently. That's how a lot of people would know that I would be going stealth or loud. Mm. Even though I know none of my teammates ever heard me say that, I would say that. And it's crazy.
So that was one of your strengths. And if I'm thinking back to when we were doing the practice, you would tell me about this and you'd like show me, hey, this is the route I take at the beginning of the game. This is what I do when I'm attacking. And to be honest with you, Jarrett, you would tell me about it and I would just be like, yeah, all right, whatever. because like I can't do that. I can't pick out people's footsteps. I have my own way of attacking the bottom floor and I don't think it's as good as yours. But I'm like, great. That is what Jarrett can do. That is Jarrett's superpower. And to be honest, you fall into this archetype of player for me where like you can play heavy, you can play resupply, but you definitely weren't going to play it. Like there was no question in my mind after we really got the team sorted out. You were not going to be playing any defense, period. You played 2 medic games pretty much so that we could rest you. If I'm being honest, we were like, all right, you're going to go play medic. You're banished.
And those were 2 great games.
Take a rest. But your skill set, your strengths lie in attacking people. You are one of the quickest players in the world. Your micro game is insane. You come around corners very quick. You're great at boxing. And you are great at hunting people on the first floor. So, you know, as people know, like we played most of the tournament with kind of this meta of the commander attacks, the heavies defending, and we had one scout who was kind of the first floor specialist and one who was more of like a zone control midfield specialist. That was usually the Fear Turkey or Loki. And our bottom floor scout was either you or Brahmatized. Sometimes we'd put you up on the commander. Because, and people were, I think, surprised by this. You were a rookie this tournament. And Jarrett, how did you feel about playing commander for the Loveland A team?
Well, here we come to the part I was lied to about. I started the tournament against Detroit, and I think it was me versus, I think it was Rhea, right? Or was it Vanessa?
I think they were 3-hit, those two.
Remember. Those two were the 3-hit, but I forget who the commander was.
I think Vanessa was commander.
That would make sense. I was able to not manhandle that team, but I was able to figure them out very quickly and be able to exploit their weaknesses to my advantage, which is your goal as a commander. But I was later informed that I would be playing commander against Cedar City, a team that I had fully prepared and mentally prepared to play on as scout and be able to use my strategy of rat hole effectively to win those games.
Mm-hmm.
But I was lied to by Josiah and Luke.
Mm-hmm. Those liars.
To play commander against those guys. And that is an incredibly hard team to play commander against. I was able to take 3 out of 4 matches against them. And the only way that I was able to do that is winning that first trade.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to expose another one of my strategies.
Mm-hmm. Please.
I would use that scout on second floor. I would run up first, and then I would crouch behind a wall right before, say we're in closet, I would crouch behind that wall just in front of closet where that little L meets, and I would let my scout put 1 in. My scout would then lose a life, but have 1 into the commander so I can hit the commander, hit the scout, and hopefully put a missile into the commander so that I am very ahead on that nuke race. 9 times out of 10 it was successful. That one time was against Caleb. My scout put one in. I put one into Caleb. Caleb hit me. Their scout hit me as I hit their scout. Caleb came up first, hit me, hit scout, hit me. And I don't know how I rebounded from that. But I think I just ran down the ramp and ran up to their resupplies before they could realize I was there, and was able to push the resupplies out while Caleb had closet, and we successfully, me and Josiah, without knowing it, successfully did the pincer move on the 3rd floor, where it was just Snuffles up there. The resupplies are downstairs. Scouts went downstairs because they were low, because my scouts were putting shots into them. Troy and Bromley did an incredible job that first game.
Mm-hmm.
They did incredible every game against them for me. But I was able to make the pincer work, and Snuffles lost so much off of it that they couldn't recover. And Snuffles didn't know that I was behind him until it was too late, and I had my first nuke already. Caleb's such a hard player to play against, and when you guys told me I was playing Commander, I was like, oh, this will either be great or I'm about to get 5 missiles dumped into me and get out nuked by 2 nukes. But I was able to keep up, which is something I'm incredibly proud of myself for. But being commander for the A team it's a lot easier than I thought it would be, because all of those players know what they're doing. They know how to support me. They have my back if I make a mistake, and boy, did I make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, just maybe, because I feel like we skipped ahead quite a bit. I just want to give a little context. So, obviously we formed the A team. We had we had me, the Feared Turkey, Sergeant Tucker, Simply Okay, Brahmatized, Loki, and Ghost, team of 7. And Ghost, we originally planned you to be that scout / commander, but we mainly put you as scout, bottom floor scout. You trained that way. We wanted you to be able to scan the bottom floor, play the bottom floor, attack up the enemy ramp, be on the lookout for weird stuff, and be kind of our main attacking decoy for the downstairs whenever our commander was getting full on stuff after we'd pushed him down. I knew that there are 2 players at the site who can do that better than anybody. It's you and Brahmatized. You 2 can attack the bottom floor by yourself as a scout pretty successfully. So you did that for most of the tournament. However, we did have you play commander quite a few times, and one of those times, yes, was against the what ended up being the number 2 team in the tournament, the Cedar City Sentinels. And we did not tell you about this. This is a post-tournament, people are going to find out, like, we were less prepared than people think. Most of the lineups that we practiced throughout the year, we didn't end up using.
Correct.
Which it may feel like a waste, but I think part of it was in practicing other lineups, we figured out even better lineups. And we also had evolving family situations that added new possibilities to us. So anyways, we did play you on Commander, though, in practice before the tournament. We have GoPro footage of that. And the truth is, Jarrett, that you have very sound Commander play, and you have some of the best micro game at the site. Do you know what that is?
I do not at the moment, no.
No worries. So macro game is thinking about, like, big picture, like if you were playing chess against somebody and you're controlling all the units, right? Macro game is thinking about, like, all 12 players at once and the overall state of the game.
Yeah.
Big picture. Micro game is thinking about the little nuances of winning the game. If we zoom in to the tiniest detail, for example, coming around the corner at just the right time, using speed, juking somebody, hitting them from the right angle, the little decisions that help us win the bigger game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd agree with that assessment, by the way. And I'm not saying you don't have good macro game, but I don't think you have as good of macro game as a more experienced player like Josiah, myself, or Sergeant Tucker, who have had a lot of tournament experience.
Yep.
And many people look at the commander role like that has to be your absolute best player. Put your best player on commander. And the thing is that with the structure of the team we had, putting you on commander, and I didn't even tell you this during the tournament, but here was my thought process, Ghost. All I needed you to do was go get a ton of points and drop your nukes and not make big noob mistakes. And I knew you weren't going to do any of those things. Because the truth is that if our commander is rampaging through their team aimed at the medic, you're going to do your job just fine, more than fine. And you did. You were fast enough to trade with any player at the tournament. Doesn't matter how experienced they are. Experience rarely matters. Well, it matters, but you don't need 10 tournaments to be really good at the trading aspect of Space Marines. And very few people are faster than you, Jarrett. So we knew throwing you on there with the best support system in the freaking world was going to work. And it did. Not to mention, I'm just going to say it. The human effect. Woohoo!
Have another drink, everybody.
There was a reason we didn't put myself or Bagel or Simply Okay, who are our other three main commanders, in line against the Sentinels or some of the other bigger teams with really experienced players. People weren't going to respect you. They saw you as a rookie. They saw you as potentially incompetent. And I think some people may have taken it as an insult that we put you on commander, because they were coming from the standpoint that you put your most experienced, best player on commander. The truth is that it's a team sport, and you played the role absolutely perfect.
I did what I could.
We were a team. It wasn't about our commander carrying us to victory.
Yep.
Indeed, you had some incredible scouts and a great heavy and a great resupply, and they all did their job in such a way that you really had the bowling pins set up to be knocked down. So that was kind of the thought process. I guess coming out of those games where you weren't warned about it, how did you feel after it worked?
I mean, especially before that first game, the nerves were there. Something that we call in Color Guard the nervous peas, how you know you're going to. In Color Guard, that's how you know you're going to have a good show. It's good luck. It's kind of that thing. And I had that, and I was like, all right, it's my field. This is my arena. Nobody's taking this arena from me.
Mm-hmm.
And after that game, I felt nothing but proud of myself, because as many people know, I was hard on myself that tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that I did the best that I could have in some games, especially those important games. Not finals. Finals, I feel like I did my job pretty well. But semifinals, quarterfinals, stuff like that, I didn't feel like I did my job too well. So the games like that, where I was able to drop 4 nukes in a game against Caleb, who I look up to, who I aspire to play like, the person I look up to as a human being. I was able to beat him, and that meant a lot to me as a player. Because Caleb is a world champion. Caleb is going to be a world champion again. Caleb is just that kind of player.
He's a world champion in a neutral arena.
I am not a world champion in a neutral arena.
No,
I'm a
me
world
neither.
champion in my arena. I'm gonna get it back after I move to Florida and do all of that. I'm coming to Cuse with a vengeance.
Absolutely. Now that will be a huge test. Because for anybody who's not like super acquainted with Laserforce tournaments, it's one thing to win a home tournament where you get lots and lots and lots of time learning your own arena, getting practice above the other teams. It's another thing to come into an arena when you travel there, you don't get all that home field experience. You're kind of at the same level as everybody. So to win that tournament, it carries a lot more weight.
Especially in Australia.
But at the same time, it's not nothing to win your home field tournament. I mean, every tournament before this, Nats 2015 and Nats 22, like people came in and showed us what's up. So it did take a lot to win this for sure.
Yep.
But anyways, so we played the tournament out. We played Jarrett on Commander quite a few more times, but mostly you went back to your scout role. And we always had that bottom floor scout and that top floor zone control scout. But when we got to finals, we activated our plan. We shifted the team's identity, not significantly, but certainly in a way that changed the way that we win. It changed our win condition, right? We had adapted other teams to trying to stop us from one win condition, and then we changed it. I went to Commander. My Commander play, I would just describe it as solid and adaptable. And we put Josiah on heavy, and that was the big thing. Josiah heavy is certainly our best bet to knock teams off the top floor and give us the most effective chance of winning it. And we took you and Bromley, who had previously been alternating scout on the first floor, and we put you both on scout. Talk about that a little bit, because I want to share the stat with the people, right? Your second lowest game of the entire tournament, MVP wise, was 18.5 MVP points, which is very high. Your lowest MVP of the entire tournament was 7.7 in the first game of finals against California A, that is, in the what we'll call the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Talk about that game a little bit and how we blundered that one up.
Goodness, California had our name that game. They had our number, they had our strategy, they had everything that belonged to Loveland. They were like writing it down, keeping notes, and they were like, got him. They kicked the crap out of us that game. I ate about 4 missiles from Kodama.
You got missiled one time in that game.
I got missiled. It felt like a lot.
But you had like a 60% accuracy, a 1-hit diff, 4,200 points. Kodama did hit you 6-1 in missile dude.
Kodama had my number. Kodama definitely had my number, but as a team, we were able to survive that game, which was absolutely massive. Got the lives we needed and put up a fight. I think we took third floor without a medic for a minute there, which is crazy. I died out with, I think, a minute and a half left and saw that our other scout had like 20 lives. And I was like, all right, we're good. We can come back. I got a little mad at the refs. In-game, out-of-game, Josiah walked us back into that arcade and yelled at us for being stupid people and getting upset with the refs instead of focusing on our game, that it's our arena. We win in our arena, and there is no other way around it.
Yeah, he was right.
He was absolutely right. So I put in my music in my headphones for like 30 seconds. I listened to a little NF.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I think I had one of my better games of the tournament that next game. I don't think Kodama had my number after that, but I was able to control down floor. controlled downstairs better than I ever had that tournament.
Do you remember what change we made that second game against California A?
I don't remember. I just remember this stream thinking I was getting benched for Troy and that not happening.
Well, remember we played our first kind of lineup all the way through round play and up to that point in finals with me on heavy and rotating you, Josiah, and Simply Okay onto commander. But we flipped it. We flipped 3 hits and we put you and Bromley in, and it was the first time you had played second floor scout all tournament.
Yep. I think that was the only time I played second floor scout because I got messed up that
You did, and so did I. We got beat up by the entire red front line, the whole California A front line. I remember that pretty well. And see, I recall that we did practice with a little bit with you on second floor scout, but you were much more adaptable to first floor. So in the second game, we put you back on first floor. Brahmatized took it upon himself to play second floor scout at the beginning, because really we were banking on pushing them down so that you and Brahmatized could be destroying them on the first floor, which is your strengths.
Yep.
And in that second game, you came back. You had nearly a 2 hit diff and 6 medikits.
NF, baby. NF led me to the...
Yeah, NF. Guess you'll be the outcast.
No, that second game was completely different than the first. They got pushed down so early that I didn't even need resupplies, and I was already down there on them, so that my commander and my other scout could get full while I was applying pressure and creating some noise to confuse them and mess up their resupplies. I think I hit the ammo a couple of times throughout that early part of the game, which was my goal. If you hit the ammo, they aren't going to get shots as quick, so they're not going to attack you as quick because they're going to be afraid. Whether they have lives or not, shots are, in my opinion, a bit more valuable in certain circumstances. If your medic's about to die, screw the ammo. Give me lives. But early in that game, I hit the ammo quite a few times. I think it was Fan that game, if I'm not mistaken. I think Applesauce was the medic.
Fan was ammo, Applesauce medic.
So I was able to find Fan. Kodama was playing a solid heavy game, but I was able to get in there and do what my team needed me to do, which was create a distraction while they get full, and then we're able to keep them downstairs and kill them quickly.
Yeah. So that was pretty much it. And from that point on, we were able to roll through the rest of the tournament. So we'd flipped into kind of our quote unquote final form. You were back on bottom floor scout. Brahmatized was helping on the second floor at the beginning, and then he was getting to go back downstairs after we had taken top. And then finals rolls up. Cali A and Cedar played each other. Do you remember that game?
I do remember that game. I was a ref in that game.
What was your recollection of that, and who did you think was going to win that when you went into ref?
I fully thought that California A had their number. I didn't think anything less. I knew Cedar was a great team, but up to that point, Cali had won the games against them.
Yeah, 3-1.
Sorry, I just walked downstairs. I'm a little tired.
Oh, yeah, you're good. It is getting late. We're recording this pretty late, and we've been, partying hard.
But I thought Cali A had them.
Really?
I was sad I wasn't sad, but I was shocked to see Cali A lose that.
It's for sure. It's cool that you were able to be in there, and I would have guessed the same thing, but to be honest, I had no idea. I didn't even think about it. Just like they went in, time flew by so quickly. That whole sequence was so strange. Like going through it together as a team, suddenly, before we knew it, it was finals and Cedar City had made it through the gauntlet. And that was different. Do you remember our team meeting right before our finals game?
Kinda, yeah. I just remember Josiah telling us not to overthink it, not get upset with the reps, no matter what happens. That we beat this team 3-1 with our, I mean, not even our strongest lineup. Like,
Well, UN Commander's pretty strong, but we went in. You were going to do your thing on bottom floor. And do you remember what happened in that finals game? That first one?
They got pushed down really, really fast.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I want you to start telling us your story of the finals game against Cedar City Sentinels. I have it pulled up right here on YouTube. I'm going to hit play, and every time you get a medic hit, I'm going to say medic hit, all right?
Got it. So that game started. I was downstairs like usual. I got my bases off the bat after trying to get a medic hit off the start. I don't know if I did. I don't fully remember. I think I got a medic hit.
Medic hit.
Pretty quickly into that. Yep, there it is. I got a medic hit off that first push. I ran over to, I think, green base, got that base, and then hit red. And then from there, my attention was focused on closet.
Medic hit.
And keeping, yep. I think that was a jump shot, wasn't it? I think that was when I was at red.
They're downstairs now.
Yeah. Josiah pushed them
Medic
down
hit.
early.
I did.
So I was able to...
Medic hit.
Oh, yeah, it was blue. You pushed them down early. Sorry, I'm a little frazzled right now by hearing medic hit every... I was downstairs, and all I could hear every time I would hit Mez is Mez would go, "Oh, hey," and then he would run away, and I would hear Chaser go, Meds, where are you?
Medic hit.
And and then you'd hear Meds in the background go, "I'm over here." So I would pinpoint that spot,
Medikit.
listen to the footsteps, and pinpoint where they were. At this point, I'm just zooming through the maze, not at a loud rate, at a very quiet rate, listening for his footsteps, finding him, listening to Chaser, figuring out what's going on, figuring out where they are, getting those crucial medic hits. I'm at, what, 6 medic hits already? 7? At one point, I needed to go up for resupplies, but I refused to because I wanted to keep my team getting full while Caleb was upstairs.
Right.
And Snuffles, when Snuffles came downstairs, I went upstairs to get a little full, and I sent Bromley down, who got a couple of medic hits. I was getting full upstairs while fighting Caleb. I wasn't upstairs for very long. I think it was like 30 or 40 seconds that I was upstairs, because I did not need much, honestly. I used a bit of shots, but I didn't get hit much. I allowed Chaser to hit me a couple of times so that I could get those crucial medic hits. After 30 or 40 seconds, I made my way back downstairs. And from there, I just remember a frenzy of just medic hits like crazy.
Yeah, you remember it well, because that's pretty much what happened, even without you being able to watch the feed here.
The start of the game is blurry, but the mid-game, I mean, I was literally only upstairs for like 30 seconds. The game paused for a second, somewhere in there. I looked at the opposing team and I said, okay, I'll back off. There it is. I will back off and run away. At that point, Meds was at like 2 or 1 because I was able to get the final blow on Meds. But I took a missile running away, which I wasn't too happy with, which is why I put the last medic hit in so quickly. But after that, there was a lot of complaints of the game paused. It wasn't fair, but I walked out to Meds after the game, and Meds went, I was dead. The game was over.
Well, I think that was our round play game. That wasn't finals.
It was finals.
I don't think our packs turn off. I've watched this game over and over again over the last 6 months. I don't think our packs turn off in finals.
I remember our packs turning off because I was a scout.
I'll show you the game. I think that was our second to. I think that was the second round in the pods.
That would make sense, but I just never left Meds' side, even as not being on his team.
You were such a loving enemy scout.
I love Meds. Meds is like my favorite.
You never left him.
I need to message Meds. I miss you, Meds. If you're listening to this podcast, Meds, I miss you.
And Medics.
Come play.
Meds. Sorry, Medics. Meds is dead, unfortunately. So
yeah, that was a very quick kill.
It is 10 minutes into the game. He got nuked out, and you got 11 medic hits. People have those kind of games like once or twice in a career, and you had it in finals. That is insane. Caleb ran up and canceled my nuke at a crucial moment in finals. Like, that was amazing. And that might have completely swung the game for them. But all of it was null and void. Everything else that everybody else did was kind of it just didn't matter that much compared to the fact that you hit Meds 11 times in 5 minutes. What were they supposed to do with that? There was no coming back from that.
You can't do anything. Caleb was just trying to hear. I can only imagine what Caleb is thinking every time in that first 5 minutes that the pack said, your medic is under attack. Right.
Like, if I were in Caleb's shoes, I would come out and be like, well, what was I supposed to do about that? You know, that they would have had to completely change the way their whole team played. And the thing is, like, I hope this doesn't come across as like a knock on Meds, because Meds was voted all-star medic. Meds is he had the highest medic on medic hits. I talked about this in the podcast with Sergeant Tucker. The Sentinels, if we were to play the California A, we would have had to approach the game quite differently than we would have with Cedar City. Cedar City openly shows more weaknesses, but they were going for a much stronger knockout punch right off the bat. Thankfully, we had essentially both 3 hits on defense for a large portion of the game, and that worked because you and Bromley were so devastating attacking Meds. Like you guys did your job incredibly. But with Meds and how good he was, because, like, for whatever reason, like, you had his number in finals. I don't know. It's just incredible.
I've been playing the game enough, even as a rookie, that once again I can tell what people are going to do. I can tell the strategies they're going to pull.
Well, maybe it's the first floor thing, right? Like, he was on first.
Yeah.
That's your zone.
He was Marvel Rivals is a big thing right now. So you got like little Jeff the Shark. I am Jeff the Shark. I am a happy little guy that will kick the crap out of you and will create a swirling vortex where he just bites you and then he like swallows you and then does damage, which is what that kind of felt like. It felt like I was Jeff the Shark swirling around, just staying on Meds that entire time. I swallowed him. I did a bunch of damage. It's just what it felt like that entire game. And I've never really had an example what that felt like until that game came out, and I was like, I play like Jeff the Shark.
You are Jeff the Shark.
I am Jeff. Hefe the Shark.
Indeed. So anyways, there are many ways that Nats could have gone, but ultimately you played your role really well. You helped kind of hide some of our cards by playing Commander early on, and you played it great. You did exactly what the
Thank
team
you.
needed you to do, and I appreciate that you were a good sport during just that time of needing to step up and do what the team needed. But you know, now the tournament's over. You got the belt. You got the chance to win with us as a Nats rookie. Like, how did that feel for you? What was that like?
I mean, the number one thing I will never ever forget is we eliminated Chaser out of that game, and we heard the final words. I forget what they are. Oh, maybe we haven't been keeping up on current events, and we just got our asses kicked,
pal.
That one. And off the first word, John was standing right next to me, and we just looked at each other and screamed. There wasn't any swear words, surprisingly, but we just screamed, "Heck yeah!" and hugged each other, and I started crying. That was 10 years of hard work and 10 years of keeping my skills absent from kind of the laser tag world, because I haven't ever had the time or the money to do a tournament, which really sucks, because I would love to do more tournaments. And Autumn and Disco are trying to help me out there. The Helmets are an incredible group of people that have
Agreed.
offered for me to stay in Airbnbs with them to cut down on costs and stuff like that. But it was a lot of work leading up to that point that you could see in the video after that game. We're hugging each other, we're crying. You could see Joe standing upstairs by himself. I walked out at one point to just find Troy and bring him in there. Because Troy was a big part of that team.
Oh, definitely.
We wouldn't have been able
Yes, he was.
I watched him out there standing by himself when I opened that door, and I went, "Troy, get in here."
I'm so glad you did that. Dude, that is such a gift of yours. Like, I cannot believe that in that moment you thought of him. You thought of someone besides yourself, and you went and got him. Like, that was so kind-hearted of you.
Well,
because I was too overwhelmed to think about anybody but myself or the team or the moment, you know?
Well, I looked at us hugging each other, and I realized that there was an important piece missing. And I was like, Troy has been also kind of like a father figure to me throughout the scene. I have some of my best memories with Troy, and I was like, it's not the same to celebrate without our entire team. And once our entire team is here, the true celebration begins. So I saw him standing out there by his wife, and I was like, Troy, get in here. Like, you helped us here. Mm-hmm. You were a big part of why we are here. And though he didn't get to play in any of like the bigger games, he held his part absolutely incredibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. He's such a humble man. He was completely skilled enough to play on our team on the role he did, but we knew we needed someone who was willing to be whatever the team needed him at whatever time that meant. And he played in finals elimination games. He played against any team that we asked him to. He played whatever role we needed him to. And he's always been kind of like just a father/mentor figure to the whole Loveland site. So it wouldn't have felt like Loveland Day without him, honestly.
Correct. I was happy to Troy was there for me when I needed it, and I was happy to be there for Troy when we were celebrating by ourselves and he was out there. I walked out there, and I mean, Troy still had the biggest smile on his face, standing in the lobby, looking at the scoreboard. Troy is, in my opinion, one of the most incredible humans on this planet.
Completely.
Troy just...
Oh, he's amazing.
I still remember Troy's 21st birthday.
That was amazing.
I still have that shirt.
Oh,
Troy's given us
really
some memories.
That's really cool, man. I'm glad you still have that.
I kept that shirt. Troy's felt like truly like, where you're my laser tag father, Troy has felt like a second father to me.
Yeah. He's the father of Loveland.
He is absolutely the father of the Loveland laser tag community. And now he's watching all of us grow up, and it's like the Oogoi with the his staff that he hands to. Oh God, I forget his name. Oh no, the little red. Oh no, the master that trains Poe.
Yeah, Master Shifu.
Master Shifu, there it is. Where he hands Shifu and it goes, "It's your time." I feel like that's what Troy is doing with us over time.
Absolutely. That's a good analogy. So, kind of starting to wrap up this episode here, Jarrett. You're a world champion now. That night ended. We were up there late, 3:00 in the morning, listening to "We Are the Champion" by Queen, tearing down video cameras and wall coverings. And eventually, one by one, everybody left, and we all closed up the building together, and the night was over, and we moved on with our lives, you know? Like, we still haven't had our final team meeting. We're not done, like, just soaking in the glory for the year, of course, but the time is coming to an end, and I do wonder, like, just how have you been afterwards, and how's this whole experience impacted you?
Well, Ghost has kind of become my name for everything. Any new game I get, my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel is all Ghost _LTWC.
You finally found a code name that stuck.
Ghost is my name. I know there was a Ghost before, and DK told me that the difference between you two is a world championship. And now that I have that world championship, I think it's Ghosty, yeah? I never want to step on anyone's toes, but...
Oh, sorry, you're talking about Ghosty from Detroit?
Yes, Ghosty.
There's
the name.
Ghosty is a world champion, actually.
Correct. Which is why the difference between us was a world championship, because I hadn't won it yet.
Oh, now there's no difference.
Correct.
Sorry, I misinterpreted that.
If Ghosty ever got upset with my name or anything like that, I would probably change it as out of respect. But for now, especially after G&D, in that interview after winning world championships, told me that he's proud of me and that I'm one of the hottest rookies coming through. I think I've set a staple of my name throughout the community. I think for years people are going to talk about Ghost, not Ghosty, the Ghost with a 5 in his name. That, ironically, I let Luke name me. That's where Ghost came from. I looked at Luke and I went, "You're Mischief. We're going to have a father-son moment. You be Gengar, and I will be Ghastly. Give me a name." And he put G space H space O space 5 space T. And I was like, I'm going to stick with this. And now that I'm a world champion, and all of my socials are ghost_LTWC for, laser tag world champion. I think Ghost is here to stay. Well, until I inevitably move to Florida and show up at tournaments, but no matter what, Ghost is here. I will always be around the scene.
That's funny. You and I have uniquely had a lot of code names. Not some people have the exact opposite inclination of us. They're real hesitant to change the code name, but we have had many. And even after Nats, I don't know if you remember, but I began changing my code name like between every single game. I just there was just something that like, okay, I was too mischief. I want to be a bunch of other things now. And you know what? There are other code names that I've thought of having. But something I've realized about code names is that it's not just about you, it's about what the name represents. And when people think of Ghost, they definitely think of you now. Like, it's not that Ghost represents you, but you represent Ghost. I represent mischief. Like, if I change my code name, it's going to confuse a lot of people. And maybe I don't care too much about that, but I care a little bit. Like, I've built a career on that name, You've built a career on Ghost.
Well, no matter what, Ghost and Mischief, no matter what our names are. Hell, I was Harry for a game this week because they inputted my code.
You're a scout, wrong. Harry.
I ran around the arena screaming, "Have no fear, Harry's here." But no matter what we change our names to, we will forever be known as Mischief and Ghost. Loveland, Laser Tag,
Gengar and Ghastly.
Gengar and Ghastly.
Don't you have a laser tag son?
I do. I have a son and a daughter now.
Maybe it's time for you to become Haunter and they can become Ghastly.
I have Bradley. Bradley is the B team heavy. Incredible player, incredible person. And I've suddenly picked up our little 9-year-old strawberry, Elena, who just latched onto me one day randomly and started calling me dad. And then I realized this is what Luke feels like.
She's more like a Jigglypuff.
I love Elena. Yeah. I love Bradley too. I love our entire site. I love the up and coming Gabe. I love Gabe, Corbin, Lizzie. Our new, I think they're the 3 amigos now. They're not the Pookie squad anymore. It's the 3 amigos.
Mm-hmm.
I love our site. I love everyone here. I'm happy that it's not the same as it was when I started, where it was admittedly a very toxic site. I'm glad that we've come up from the ashes to create one of the most, I personally say, one of the more respectable sites.
Well, I hope so, and I hope we can do the name of Loveland proud going into the future. But we did it, and who cares what people think? We did it, and you did great, and we did great, and let's see what the future of Loveland holds. Jarrett, it's been great talking to you today. I think we need to wrap this up here.
We could make this a 4-hour podcast if we wanted to, but yeah, we definitely need to wrap it up.
We could.
Maybe we could have another podcast coming up where it's just laser tag story time with Jarrett and Luke.
We could do that. We could do it another time, but for right now, in the words of Dwight Schrute, some things are just not worth doing. And I think we should go to bed.
I have to be at work in like 8 hours.
Yeah, see? So what do you want people to take away from this podcast?
I want people to take away that no matter who you are, no matter what you are, that even if you're a rookie, you can still win a world championship and you can still compete with the best of the best, no matter if you're a rookie or not. And B, this is the most important thing I've tried to share throughout the community, but it's kind of gotten lost over time. We are all humans. No matter what happens in a game, no matter what happens outside of a game, we are human beings. And at the end of the day, we are all friends. And we all have to have each other's backs. I love every single one of you that is listening. Even if I know you are not, you are part of this scene. Therefore, you are part of my family. I care about all of you to the end of the earth. Just remember that all of us are humans playing this game. And if we get frustrated, we get upset, we want to yell at somebody, think twice before you do.
And I want people to remember the human effect.
Third shot, baby! The human effect is a meme.
And something I want you to take away from this podcast, Jarrett. I was watching back our final game. I watched the rest of it while we were talking, and I saw DK walking up, and he put his arms on you and I, and a few of the other players were in the little circle, and I remember what he said, and I want to put it here in this podcast just in case I forget someday. He said, "Gentlemen, welcome to the club. Once a champion, always a champion." And that's you, Jarrett. No matter what happens, you're a champion. Period. And maybe something to take away is that for anyone out there who's been able to compete, even if some victories are worth more than others, once a champion, always a champion.
Yep. You'll always have those pictures with the belt. For me, it was the shirtless pictures at 3 a.m.
Oh my goodness, those are great. So hot. Such champion. All right, we need to wrap this up. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Take care, everybody.
Beep.